Dentistry and General Radio Network presents
the Independent Dental Practice Podcast with Dr. Sonny Spera. In this episode,
welcome to the Independent Dental Practice Podcast, Dr. Sonny Spera. Today, part 2 with Dr. A.J. Anthony Felli. He's going to talk about a little deep dive into his practice. His plan right away was to buy a practice right out of school as soon as he got licensed. And he had it all set up, except for the fact that the agreement became non-agreement when one person completely changed their plans. And he was not going to settle, and he continued to look, and he found his practice very similar. Bought the practice, bought the building. He shares those numbers, and we're talking a 50% growth curve in the first year. He hasn't finished his first year. He's 10 days away. But we're looking at a 50% increase in the revenue in the practice. He also went in on day one and gave raises across the board, approximately 30%. Now, when your highest expenses are salaries, and you're buying a practice, and you're going to a bank and borrowing it, that's a pretty gutsy move to immediately elevate your cost and your expenses without knowing what's coming in on the revenue side. But he has a vision. He is true to his word. You're really going to like this. And he's very open and honest, and he's going to talk all about that practice transition, what he's done, what his plans are, what his 1, 3, and 11-year plan is by age 50. Don't want to miss it. If you like the podcast, click like, subscribe, share it with your friends. If you don't like it, well, please tell me, sonnyspera@gmail.com or 607-624-2962. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, hit me up. Or if you or anybody you know may be interested in a working opportunity, something to join our group with potential to move into an ownership position, hit me up, sonnyspera@gmail.com. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Dr. Anthony A.J. Felli, The Ownership Pathway and 50% Growth in Year 1. A discussion with Dr. Sonny Spera, Part 2.
Dr. Sonny Spera, host of the Independent Dental Practice Podcast, with you and our guest, our good friend, Dr. Anthony A.J. Felli. And if you remember from the last episode, I'm going to do a quick recap. Okay, so AJ graduated dental school, did his residency, had every intention and planned to purchase a practice in or near his hometown for 3 years, almost before he graduated dental school, literally. Push comes to shove, what they agreed on as men, all of a sudden the rules changed and the whole thing changed. Rather than sit there and just succumb to all that, AJ said, listen, this is not what I planned. This is not what I said. I'm moving on. And he did. And he bought a similar style practice in a different location. It's about an hour drive for him either way. Okay. And he bought it in August 16th, 2024. And I asked him, when did you start? He said, August 16th, 2024. Made clear that's the date. Trust me, mine was October 1, 1991. I know that date like the back of my hand. All right. He started practice. He bought practice and real estate. Practice was doing it in the low 800s. He bought the practice in the building for about 900. It's a freestanding dental only building with about 1,500 square feet. All right. So we're going to take it from there. We're going to take a little deeper dive into the practice and the transition. Obviously, you have not run a dental practice. You've not been in the dental practice business. You really didn't have a mentor because he didn't stay around very long to introduce. He moved on. So first thing is, I got to ask you, the dental business skills. Where did you learn how you wanted to run your practice?
Kind of like we had mentioned in the first one, most of it from a people in a leadership team aspect is all military. And then my time for 10 years or so working in business prior. But it really just came down to conversations with my wife. She's been an optometrist for almost 12 years and been practicing while I worked in the oil field, while I went to college, while I went to dental school, the whole nine, and how we wanted our practices to be, right? Our blueprint for what we wanted was basically non-negotiable. We go to a doctor's office or we go to get blood work, whatever it may be, and you sit there for 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. The receptionist only asks you your name when you walk in. Right off the bat, you're pissed. You don't want to be there. So that was number one. We didn't want to be like that. And then number two, to go a little more into your question, was I've been an employee, I've been a follower. I know when I felt good in that position, and I know when I felt terrible in that position. And then my wife being a non-owning optometrist for better part of a decade, she knew what it was like to be a non-owner physician and see all of the staff get treated a certain way. So number two was treat the team great. And we're firm believers that if those two things are taken care of, the rest is easy.
So let's talk for a second. We didn't really get into this much, but the similarities between an optometry practice, right, and a dental practice. There are a lot of similarities. There's your recall program. So they got their yearly exams. We got our hygiene 6 months checks, stuff like that.
Yep.
Did you borrow any ideas from her, from the optometry model?
Not really. Mostly just with team flow of patients, flow of what the team members are doing. Granted, different tasks, but at the end of the day, this the same general outline. So I definitely leaned on her with some of her experience with the team and how to best utilize them. But I also had a decent background in that. It was just a matter of effectively applying it to a medical field instead of an oil rig.
But if you think about it, right, from what you're saying, these principles can translate to anything. You could be selling cars, whatever. That's the basic foundation of your practice. Now, let's
100%.
talk about the nitty-gritty in the practice. Okay. Do you participate in insurance plans?
Just Blue Cross Blue Shield only because it was already in the office.
Okay. So when you got the office, did it participate in more than just Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. So fortunately, you bought a practice that had very limited insurance. I want to say interference, but we'll say participation.
Yeah.
That's completely different than the optometry model, right? So now when it comes to collection policies, do you pay at the time of service? How much do you want to collect over the counter at the time of service? Do you have some of those things in mind? Have you gotten some help on what some metrics across the country might be?
Yeah, so I go against the grain. Most offices that are fee for service are collecting the fee up front. Insurance mails a check to the patient. I That's fine, but I'm in a good practice in a good town. People pay their bills, so I don't do that. I just send it off to insurance, have a good day, and then once the insurance pays me, I send them a bill for the remainder. The caveat to that is fixed work, removable work, that all gets a pre-auth. The patient pays their portion at the time of service.
Okay,
And
so your
then,
policy then, is it based on a dollar amount, like over $300?
nope.
Or is it the category of work?
Yeah, just the category of work. If it's something that the insurance might want to pre-auth for, or it's what I would just consider expensive to the patient, we'll run a pre-auth. And I have this conversation with the patient in hygiene. You need a crown. A crown is X amount of dollars. And they're like, okay, let's do it. Or they're like, what's insurance going to do? And then I pivot off of their reaction to that. And if it is a Blue Cross patient, then I just pre-auth it anyways. And I've gotten into the habit of pre-authorizing a lot of things just because the insurance companies make it very difficult on the patient without a pre-auth and don't want to pay them.
Even after you get a pre-auth, sometimes they stiff you and they change their mind.
I'm fortunate I haven't ran into that yet. It's been
You
close.
will. We've got a pre-auth right in our hands. Now we changed. And the patient's like, they were counting on it, right?
Yeah.
You plan on it, and it's not my call.
I can't remember if we talked about this last time, but that happened with me with an implant patient recently.
Yeah, we did. Yep.
Yeah. So I ate the cost just because that's how I am. The insurance company's already stiffed you. I'm only losing money fun coupons. They still paid enough that the bills were paid and everyone was happy, but I felt good about it.
Okay. So do you have these things written down? Do you have a written manual of how you're going to conduct your business?
Yes and no. I adopted the manual that came with the practice.
So there was one in place. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's,
but I
that's a little bit rare, but keep going.
this goes totally against who I am because I'm a rules guy. Everything's written down guy. We follow
Right.
the pattern guy.
Very military.
And
Yeah.
I don't think anyone in my office knows a word of that manual, including me. So that is something that I've talked about a lot with my wife recently. We're a year in. Another thing, not to get sidetracked, is I'm going in with no experience. What the hell am I going to write a manual about? So for me, it was more let me get my feet wet. Let me see what works, what doesn't work. So I'm doing this manual one time with the input of my staff rather than me blindly writing something that makes no sense in 6 months.
But you have a framework, right? So you're not starting from total scratch. That's a huge load off. If you were to start with a blank paper, like what we did was we had a little bit of a software program that helped us out. Policies Now, Employee Now. We used it for our employee performance reviews, the whole thing. We just kept adding more and more things to it. But it's still daunting when you're starting from scratch. Now, have you had to hire any new employees since you've been there?
I've hired two new hygienists and I hired my assistant technically, but she started the same day that I did.
Okay. So you've had to see with an assistant though, because you're chair side, I think you can do a lot of the training right then and there. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's so different than your business staff who you really many times don't spend a lot of time with or you don't hear the conversations. Are they saying what we want to be said? For example, a patient calls up, wants to schedule a crown. Are they saying, okay, we got pre-auth, here's going to be your copay. How you want to take care of that right now? You want cash? You want check? You want to put it on a credit card? As opposed to, yeah, sure, we'll schedule it. Now the patient comes in, they've had no financial arrangements talked about, and it could become a surprise all of a sudden, right? So as you hire people, let me tell you where I think the biggest advantage is having the manual is as you bring people in, you can use it as a training manual, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Almost little checkoffs. And trust me, you know this way better than I do because of your military background. You got a SOP, you got a standard operating procedure, and you're going to review that. Okay, patient came in, what do we do? End of day when we close up the shop. Who took care of who cleaned out the autoclave? Who set aside the instruments? Who set up for tomorrow? That all stuff. Did you start developing that yourself when you were in there, or was there ways of doing it already in place?
There's the ways that it's been done, and some of them were good and some of them weren't. The ones that weren't, I scrapped immediately,
Right?
but I'm in no way, shape, or form a dictator in the office, and I don't like to just I have a certain set of non-negotiable rules, but I'm
Right.
not the one doing these tasks, so I'm not going to be the one to tell you how to do it. You guys get together, determine who wants to do what and when, and the girls all do a great job with that.
Yeah, you got to set direction, right? You got to set,
Sure,
you got
absolutely.
to be the captain of the ship.
Yep,
You need first mates, you need everybody else to pull their weight too.
for sure.
Okay, so that's there. Your manual is somewhat there, but not being implemented. What are some of the things that you want to do in and with the practice that were not done prior?
Procedure wise,
Everything.
so
Procedure, marketing, community outreach. You can go right across the board. What are some things that, because you're putting your finger and your stamp on this from August 16th right now, going on a year.
yep.
What are some things that you want to implement and put in place?
So procedure wise, we started doing implants pretty much immediately,
So
which
in-house
was,
implants wasn't done before, it was referred out.
yep.
So
And
that
that's
was
been a
taking back,
huge,
but that's a
huge,
no-brainer if you can
yeah,
do it. You take
that's
that
been a
back
huge
and
hit.
patients love it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's been a hit. My patients don't like to be referred out. And I've had patients with, say, a root canal that I didn't feel comfortable doing, urge them to go somewhere, and they said, I don't want to go anywhere else, pull the tooth. Okay, we're pulling the tooth. So some limited root canals that weren't being done in the office, anterior teeth for the most part, which again has been a huge hit because our nearest endodontist is almost an hour away. So they like when they can get in there. And then a lot of surgery, bone grafting, site preservation, a lot of the things that were repeatedly referred out are now done in-house, and it's gone over wonderfully. Procedure wise, the pre-auths have been a big thing, just making sure the patient knows what their financial duty is when they come in. As far as community outreach type stuff, so my wife and I had always planned on doing 1 or 2 day a year free clinic for anyone that can't afford any sort of treatment. And for me, other than implants, just because it's too many follow-ups and too much stuff going on, I would go right to crowns. If somebody needed a crown, I would do the crown for free. Unfortunately, I've let my schedule get a little ahead of me and haven't foreshadowed this and set it up yet. Where my wife, on the other hand, has already done two of them. So I feel like a bum behind the curve, but that's
Well,
in the works.
What we do is we have a free day called Doctors with a Heart Day. It was started by Dr. Dwayne Schmidt in Iowa, and he does anything you can complete in one visit. So basically, you're doing fillings, extractions, cleanings, fluoride treatments, that kind of stuff. Person needs a
Sure.
root canal, we're not doing it. Person needs a crown, we're not doing it. Person needs a denture, we're not doing it. But you'd be amazed at the amount of work we've done. It's our 30th year this year. We've done
Nice.
ourselves, and some other dentists in the area have volunteered from time to time. We're pushing, I think, 1.3 million this year, 1.4 total.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a great service, and everybody volunteers. You might want to consider that if you want some help or advice. Just give my office a call. You talk to Shelly or Maureen; they can help you out with any of those
Yeah,
details.
for sure. And
So
then,
you want to do that? Are there any other things like you want your team, Children's Dental Health Month, or we're sponsoring this program, or we get involved with PTAs, or is there any other community things that you're doing that are important to
yeah,
you?
so we've sponsored a lot of local events, car shows, sports things, several things like that, and that's been great. I don't do any marketing. I haven't had a need to do any marketing. Our schedule is more than we can handle already. So I'm not really enticing new people to come.
You have a website?
We do have a website, yep.
Was it always there, or did you add it?
He had one that was a stock type deal.
Sure,
I
but he
I
had
found
one.
a really nice dental website and stole the entire thing.
Believe me, everybody does it, man. There's only so many things you can do that are unique, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and then the biggest
How
thing
about-
within the office that changed or that I wanted to change going forward was the culture within the office. It was not a bad culture by any means, just not how I like to do things in the sense of like the old school doctor that I don't even know how to word it. Staff walks on eggshells, doesn't really take any initiative. And I'm the polar opposite of that. So that was a paradigm shift in the office that has made the staff so happy to literally happy to come to work is I'm easygoing. You know what I want done, and I don't care how it gets there as long as it's done ethically and responsibly. And if
Well,
I can increase
day one.
efficiency in that task, I do
Good.
it, but I don't tell them how to do it
But you said that from day one. That was how you were going to implement it, and all you've been is just a man of your word.
for sure.
And they don't have to push you anymore because they know they've seen it. They've already had their tests. You've already been tested,
Yeah,
and you passed. And you don't have to worry about it anymore. So you lead, it's almost like you lead from behind.
for sure.
And the team is empowered, literally, truly empowered to do things with some guidance and direction. And that's a great way to do it, right? I forget what they call it. Servant leadership, maybe? I think it might be called
I'm
that.
not sure.
Sure. We
There,
write a book
there's
today. We'll figure it out.
there's certainly times that I have to step to the front of that line, but it's not often. The staff has taken autonomy to a whole new level, and I'm very happy every day.
You tell a patient they need a crown, they ask you how much. Do you answer?
Yeah, immediately.
There you go. That's number one, I think. Don't be afraid of your fees. Because 9 times out of 10, what they're really looking for, how do you say it? Right? If you said somebody, hey, you need a crown, how much is it? It's 13, it's $1,300, 1,300. Or the crown, you want the all porcelain crown? It's $1,300. One's confident and okay, no, I'm not apologizing. The other one's literally, I'm sorry, is that too much? Is the unwritten, but it's heard. The patient hears that. You didn't say it. You didn't have to. And your body language, right?
Yeah.
You look down at the ground, look them right in the eye, answer them.
Yep.
I find that's hard. In your shoes, that is a very hard thing to do in the very early stages. So I give you a lot of credit. And the other things that you're doing. Okay, so the other thing, did you implement any different marketing things? You said you modified, changed your website. You were smart. You did the Chinese move, which is imitation, copy.
Intellectual theft.
Nothing wrong with that. IP, that's all right. It's okay. Nobody's coming after you. What did you do anything for marketing that is different from what the other doctor did?
Nope, zero
You said
marketing.
you did zero. Nothing.
The biggest difference would be our Facebook page.
Okay,
You
so you
know,
have a social media presence.
yeah, we have a social media presence. It's getting better right now. I hate being on camera and I don't like doing goofy things, which is not settling well in the office right now because my assistant and hygienist love doing TikTok videos that they keep trying to get me in. So they finally got me in one recently. It's got thousands of views, which blows my mind. So there's a little bit of that.
Okay. Teaching the old dog some new tricks, it sounds like.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about the numbers then. What did it look like in your first 3 months of practice? What were the numbers?
I was broke.
because you're overloaded with debt and you're paying, if I remember right, the accounts receivable, you're still recovering for him for a period of time, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, so you're just a check writing service strictly based on how your collection policy is, if you think about it. So you're getting paid for the next 3 months on work that he's done. And now your work is not going to get paid for 3 more months. I was in the same boat when I started October 1, 1991. I was coming up to the end of the year. I was like, do I have any money for lunch? That was the conversation.
Yeah, it was a rough couple of months. The bills were just getting paid by the cash patients that were coming in. And then after 3 months, it exploded in a way that I couldn't even imagine.
Did you borrow any working capital?
I did. Yep. At the very beginning.
Was it enough?
It was not, but it was my fault. I bought an implant suite. I bought an endo suite. I spent like 30 grand on stuff without really thinking about the fact that I had to pay people the next week. Just the silly things that came up that I wasn't really thinking about on day one, which kind of irritated me because it's not my style, but I was a little overwhelmed, you know,
Yeah,
and
but think about it. You wanted to add those services, and those are the two that you mentioned right away. In addition to the surgery, you said was
yeah,
implants and now doing some endo. If you
yep,
don't have the tools and the skills, you're not going to do it to the level you need to do it, and you're
for
not going to
sure.
be comfortable, and you're not
Yep,
going to sleep at night.
yep,
And that was a smart move on your part because and truly, that's an investment that's going to keep paying for itself
absolutely.
over and over.
Yeah, so
Now,
I scraped by on the very first payroll, scraped by on the second payroll, and then, like I said, after about 2.5, 3 months, it took care
well,
of.
you retired some debt, really. You retired his debt.
Yep.
And now you're starting to see the money coming in from all that hard work that you were grinding for those first 3 months. What did
Yeah.
your production look like?
Without pulling some reports, I really couldn't say. The
I
first,
guarantee it's higher than what his was.
oh, right now,
No, when you first started, within the first 3 months, I guarantee your production was probably even a little higher than his just because you're
it
adding.
was. It was for sure. The
And that,
first
that
month
counts for the
was,
explosion 3 months later. Anyway,
yeah, the first month the production was very low. I think that they were a little hesitant to schedule patients until
yeah,
August 16th, right? Because shit
100%.
happens and you never know. So August 16th came and so that was a Friday. And then on Monday, I had 3 patients scheduled. Tuesday, I had 2 patients scheduled. By Wednesday, I'm thinking, what the hell did I do?
Yeah.
And then by Thursday, I'm thinking I'm going broke. And then the next week, it was a little bit better. And then literally within a couple of months, I was in a real sink or swim situation.
Okay. Did you have any backing or help? Did your folks, did your in-laws, were any of them, or have any of them provided some either upfront or behind the scenes support or any financial soft landing or anything?
No, my family's mostly poor, and the only person that's not is my grandfather, who was a dentist, and just I'm not the type of guy to ask for financial help unless I'm gonna have to turn the lights off. And I
Well,
just
not that you had to ask, but did anybody say, hey, listen, AJ, we got you, especially if times get tough or there's a little bump in the road. We'll be here. So
no.
you didn't have that. So you really had no, you were flying solo. No disrespect to your wife, but you were both were flying solo then
Yeah, for
without a
sure.
safety net.
For sure. Our only real safety net is we're a little bit older. We've got some money, not a lot, but enough socked away. And we have a decent amount of physical assets, some toys. Worst case scenario, we get rid of some stuff.
Sure.
But fortunately, we never got to that position. So if we were 25 or 26, it would have been a real dreary situation.
Did you start a retirement plan?
So I've had one for 20 years.
But now in your own business now, this is a different one. You'd have
Yeah,
to,
yeah. So
because you
I've
paid
started
for
my
this,
own.
you're
Yeah.
starting a new.
Yeah, so I started a new retirement plan within the office that
Start a
everyone
SEP? What'd you start?
participates in. So I have just simple IRAs and a
Yeah.
Roth.
SEP IRA. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. That's smart. That's smart. And were they participating in a plan from before?
No,
So this is
since
their
I've taken
first
over,
retirement plan.
yeah, so since I've taken over, they've gotten retirement and they've gotten health insurance.
Health insurance is a crazy number. We talked about that before.
Yeah,
That's a absurd number in New York State.
yeah.
Okay. So retirement plan. Do you have a financial strategy and plan in place? We're going to do this and we're setting aside money for bigger purchases. Have you started to look at that yet, or is it still just, hey, let's just grind and just deal with that other stuff later?
Purchases within the practices or within life?
No, in practice, businesses. We did, you said you started out with the implant suite, the endo suite, the CBCT, or,
Oh yeah, I forgot about the CBCT. That was a day one purchase.
okay. But like bigger purchases, hey, I'm going to replace some of the equipment this year. We're going to need new, some things, some people will put a little money aside each month and then they pay cash for it kind of thing.
No, so for two reasons. One is everything in the office was pretty much brand new. The office was completely remodeled. It looks like brand new. The gentleman that I bought from, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, got some unfortunate health news, and that's
Yeah.
why he rushed into retirement. So I struck gold with the practice as far as
The timing couldn't have been better for you.
for sure. And him. It really worked out for both.
Correct. Right.
But
But
my wife and I are in the process of building our forever home, which is a scary number, and we're not even building a mansion. So that's where our priority is right now. So right now it's grind, grind. And then once we're settled in life, we dumped hundreds of thousands of dollars of our own money into her practice, and it's gorgeous. So she's set arguably for her career. However,
so she's
um,
out of being an employee. She's owning her own practice now.
yeah, we bought practices in the same month, which
You had
was,
said, oh, that was before that she was working for corporate. So I would imagine she learned a lot of the tricks of the trade
yeah,
being an employee there.
yeah, for sure. So once the house is done and we're settled, then I'm going to do that because we've outgrown our practice pretty quickly and we need more space.
So what's the plan? What can you do? Can you add on?
So, yeah, I have a pretty big lot. If you picture my office to be a perfect square
Yeah.
and you're walking up the middle of it, you have two hygiene chairs on the right and my two chairs straight ahead. In between my two chairs is a designed blowout for a hallway, so you can
Mhm.
add space back there. And then on the outside of their rooms is a designed blowout for a hallway that you can add on out there. So we need a consult room, we need a storage room, we need a break room that we can all sit in for a meeting, which we don't have right now. As far as dentistry goes, we're in good shape. We just need more space to do the dentistry.
Wait, now you're talking about two different things though. You talked about your employee room and staff and meetings and stuff, but you didn't really talk about how many treatment rooms you wanted to add, did you? Did I miss that?
I did not. So I'm going to add two more treatment rooms,
Which takes you to what?
6.
Is your long range plan to bring a doc in with you?
Yes.
How soon are you going to make that happen?
Do you want my long-term goal?
Anytime you want to share, man. I'm all
So my
ears.
my long-term goal is to not practice dentistry past 50.
You're how old
In
right now?
39.
All right, so you got 11-year window and you're killing it right now.
So my goal is to find the perfect person, which is a pipe dream, but at least as close to that as possible to get some skin in the game on the Geneva practice. And then I would like to buy a few more practices over the next 10 years. And when I'm 50, all I do is run my practices.
So you're going to create like your little mini DSO?
I'm gonna create my own perfect DSO.
Now, the people that come in and work for you, so 10, you got 11 years. This is
Mhm.
beautiful, right? Because this is concrete, this is solid. In that world, the docs come in and work. Do they become owners?
So my vision right now is that they come in and be micro partners, right? So if I have $1 million practice, you come in, you give me $100,000, and you can tell me if this is stupid because you've got the experience, but this is just what I've got in my head. You come in, you buy 10% of that practice, and that's where you work. You get paid a very nice production, and then you get 10% of whatever's left at the end of the month.
Oh, you got to talk to Michael Abernathy. He's got a formula that he works with. And when he's buying the practices, he works with the docs. He's got a very unique one that I find fascinating. But it boils down to, is it in everybody's best interest? And then you got to find the right person.
For sure. Yeah. But my concept of having some skin in the game, it gets you in my thought process, it gets you out of that hamster wheel of associates. And I don't want that. I bought this practice and I'm the only provider in this practice because that's what the patients want. Nobody wants to see a different doctor every time they come in for a filling. Nobody wants to see a different hygienist every time they come in for a tooth cleaning, right? So getting some skin in the game and really enjoying that practice is a good way to make sure that they're always there. And then I'm certainly open to a pathway to more than 10%, right? Self-financing the sell of that practice over time at their pace. I'm in no rush, right? If you pay it off if in 15 years you say, hey, doc, I'm ready for you to kick bricks. All
You
right, I'll
got
kick bricks.
you got to talk to Mike, and that's one of the things that he does. He buys the practice with the whole structure in place, and it's a nice thing. He's been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think it's the other part. Let me ask you this part. What about the actual dentistry part? Are you going to want to mentor? Are you going to want to coach them? Where do you want your involvement to be at age 50 then?
Yeah, I would. I'd love to be a mentor. Um, I don't know if I'm the best dentist in the world. I'm certainly sure that I'm not. But it comes down to mentoring people on how to get past the bumps, right? If you come to me and say, "Hey, how do I do this class too?" I'm probably just going to fire you. But if you come to me and say, "Hey, how did you get past this hurdle?" I'm going to help you get past that hurdle. But if I'm helping you with basic dentistry, we're not in the right, I didn't hire the right person. If you want to learn implants, I love implants. Let's bang it out. Let's get you educated in implants. So I'm happy to be a mentor. But there's a part of me that also wants to help people with the business aspect of things. The consulting stuff kind of drives me nuts. You have all of these consultants, good or bad, and they worked clinical dentistry for a year or two, and now they're consulting on owning a business. And I'm thinking, where's your creds? Like, where's your paper? Where's your P&Ls? How are you giving me these hypothetical, theoretical examples of how a business should run? So I want to get to the point where I have a successful set of practices so that I can truly help people get a set of successful practices. And if 5 years from now I'm just still a solo doc in Geneva, my dream has failed, but I'm still going to be happy being a solo doc in Geneva.
I was a basketball coach for so many years, and if you go to these basketball coaching clinic things, they would tell you, "Oh, that's coach speak," or that's clinic speak. And sometimes with consultants, that's consultant speak, right? They know the right words, they know the hot buttons, they know our insecurities and our failings and our weaknesses, and they can speak to that very easily.
Yeah.
So I have a similar yet slightly different view, having been doing this for a little bit longer. I've seen a lot of people, I've had friends get into it. I've met a lot of people in the industry that do some things, and I call them some are fakes and some are real, some are authentic.
Yeah.
But I think in the end, having a coach in your scenario is not a bad idea that's done some of these things. I think it can accelerate your pathway to success. The nice thing about it is you ain't bullshitting. You know what you want.
Yeah.
You're not waffling. This is not one day you're doing this, tomorrow you're doing that. There's a clear, direct path, as there was to buying your own practice, even after what transpired. Most people would be like, "Oh, that's it. I'm just going to go to work." You were hell bent. You were not going to do that,
For
and
sure.
you made it work,
For
right?
sure.
You just made it work. It didn't happen by accident. That whole other situation came up. That happened because you were willing it and you were going to be there. So I'm a big believer in that. So
That practice is on the market now, so I'm just waiting for the right moment.
it could be dropped into your lap at some point. Who knows? But you got to be careful. That's one thing. Be very careful when you expand. Don't expand too fast and don't stretch. I just did the conversation with Dr. David Yang, super successful guy in Flagstaff, and he wanted the second practice in this plan. And now then the doc ended up leaving, buying a practice that he spent a lot of time working with, et cetera, et cetera. 10 months, nobody's there. And he's paying full salary, full staff for 10 months. So that's
Mm,
a drain on practice one. And he's got to go down there and work. But when you do that, you're pulling from one, you're robbing from Peter to pay Paul,
yeah.
literally.
Yep.
So the dynamics of it are a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
You can navigate that. So what do some of the numbers look like getting close towards the end of that first year now? You're literally at the time of this recording, we're 10 days away from your 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, so numbers are looking good. I haven't checked anything pre-January just because of all the ebb and flow. Once January hit, even once November hit, we were pretty much trucking along. But I've only been really tracking my metrics since January 1st. And right now, we're going to hit somewhere between 1.1 and 1.2.
Now, is that for the fiscal year of 2025?
Yeah.
So from January to December 31st?
Yep.
So if you're at 1.2, you got a 50% jump.
Yeah. Honestly, if that's being a little conservative, even we could be into the mid like 1.3.
Yeah, people talk about 8%, 7%, 10%, God help, is great growth. 50%.
Yeah.
Let that marinate for a little bit. Now, you also didn't add a ton of team from what he had, right? You didn't add four more of this, three more of that. So you're running pretty lean and mean, I would guess.
Yeah, we have the exact same number of staff.
So
I
think about that for a second. Which is your highest expense for almost every practice is your
mhm.
salaries. If you keep your salaries, they're different because you raise them all up, but still that number is going to be a lower percent because the high end, the production is up. The quickest way to lower your overhead is bump up your production.
Yeah, I'll tell you something crazy, or I think it's crazy, is if you subtract my salary from payroll, my payroll is less than 20% of my overhead.
Yeah, that's unreal.
And my staff is paid very well.
You made that clear. You gave them huge raises.
Yeah,
I think the number was 30% raise. You gave them 30% raise before they even worked a day for you.
correct.
Can you imagine if you didn't?
Yeah,
Holy cow. But anyway, 20% nationally is really low.
yeah, it's in a very good place.
So things are on the right side. Now, I know we talked about that. What are some of the things moving forward that you want to try to do in 2026? Let's go forward a year.
I don't want to do anything new. I'm not going to
Mhm.
introduce anything. I'm not going to reduce anything. I'm just going to stay exactly where we're at.
You want to take some courses and learn more endo? Are there things that you want to do that?
Hard no to that particular question.
So you don't want to add those tools in your tool belt. That's all right. Maybe
No, I'm comfortable with the endo that I can do right now.
you
And
thought
I
about bringing in somebody a day or two a month that does the endo?
Not really. I've got a real good relationship with the gentleman that I refer to, and he sends a lot of people my way, and I'm good with that.
Okay.
I'm good with where we're at, production wise, procedure wise. The biggest thing that I want to, which I've already started to do, is trying to rework the schedule without paying for some of these expensive consultants. I've been picking the brain of people that have done some reputable ones,
Yeah.
the block scheduling for the morning where you've pretty much met your goals for the day by lunch. And then the afternoon is, I don't want to say brainless work. You're not putting a whole lot of thought into your afternoon patients. It's a new patient, or it's a denture adjustment, or a crown insert. Very low stress, quick things to get
Well,
through.
you're just being purposeful, much more
Sure.
purposeful with what you're doing. And I was
Well,
going to
that's
suggest that
my,
because if you said you're booked out so far, you're gonna want to do something, and one of them could be dropping an insurance plan. But you're gonna
I've
want to
thought about,
look
I've
at
thought
all
about that
those.
a lot.
Yeah, you got to look at all those factors and the impact it'll have. Some will be negative, and some will be really positive. You know,
Yeah,
like
I've thought
how
about
much
that
of
a lot
how much
over
of
the
a
past,
haircut do you take for Blue Cross Blue Shield?
a lot. So I'm at about $200,000 for the year, and it's only August.
No, what's the percent off of your fee? Just
Oh,
ballpark it.
um,
30%?
or more. So I charge $400 for an extraction, and I get paid from Blue Cross $176 or something like that.
That's a 55% haircut.
Yeah. Now crowns, I charge 1,200, and a really good Anthem plan, I'll get a grand. A shitty, just regular Blue Cross Blue Shield, I'll get 900 bucks. Around that 30% with that. Fillings are pretty much terrible. Emergency visits are cost me money. There's some goodwill in that, obviously. But I've thought a lot about dropping Blue Cross Blue Shield just because, like I said, it's only August and I have $200,000 in Blue Cross Blue Shield adjustments.
Well,
Okay, so you think about it in one way, that's a lot of my patients, and maybe I lose some of them. But a lot of the Blue Cross Blue Shield patients that I have are people that would be happy to pay a little bit anyways. And the ones that I lose, is it really that big of a deal because I'm already writing off almost $250,000 in write-offs? So,
face it, they don't have to go and stay with a Blue Cross quote doctor. They can see you. Now the check's going to go directly to them. That's one other issue. It doesn't come to the
mhm,
office in New York. But you put that in front of them. And if you're going by your year to date at 200 grand and you're on projection to do 1, 2, so that puts us at about 7 or 8. It's about 25 to 30% of your revenue is written off.
yeah.
and that's profit.
Yeah.
It's a big haircut.
It's a big one. Yeah.
And people are not watching this. AJ's bald, so I guess the haircut analogy is not a great thing I should use.
Yeah.
But and they can't go any further below the skin. But
And
it does it. But it requires. See, this is the business part. It requires some thought and thinking and being purposeful. Like you're talking about. Here's how I'm going to schedule the production part and all that other stuff. There's some method to the madness. It's certainly got to be on the table for discussion for you.
Yeah, it definitely is. My wife, her practice is all fee for service except for exams because they can bill medical insurance for most of their exams. She's had some bumps along the way and she's lost a lot of patients, but the patients that she has are wonderful. I don't
They're
know how to say
choosing her
this
because it's her, not because it's a plan.
for sure. And I don't know how to say this gently, so I'll just say it. The I feel like the patients that I've lost over things like insurance or fees are patients that I haven't missed.
For a lot of reasons.
Yeah,
For a lot of reasons.
for sure. Yeah,
20% of your patients cause 80% of your headaches, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
So if you do you have any idea the volume of patients? We talk about this with Ben a lot. Ben Burke, he wrote a book on this kind of the dollars and the strategy, right? If you just took the number of patients, do you have any idea how many that are in the network out of, would you say it's 20% of your practice?
Like for Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're somewhere between 15 and 25% of my patient base.
Okay, so let's call it a fifth, 20%. So a fifth of your patient base is costing you 30%
Yeah.
revenue. So if you were to keep half of that, you just look at some of those numbers, right? You keep half of that, that's beyond a wash. That's a huge plus.
Yeah.
Huge surplus. And if you create
So, sorry, let me rephrase for that to make a little more sense. My actual number of patients is higher than that, right? So I have a lot of Blue Cross Blue Shield patients, but after it's all said and done and I do the write-offs, they're only less than 20% of my income.
revenue. Okay, so the revenue they're given is that, all right? But the number of patients, that's different. So let's say there's 40% of your practice is Blue Cross Blue Shield patients. You're still going to find something similar. You just got to, it's a math equation and a math problem. Just figure it out.
Yeah.
If you're cooking and you're committed, you're all in. You're the ham and egg story where the chicken's involved, but the pig is committed, right? You're committed. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I think patients get that. They get the vibe, they get it from your team, they know where you stand. So as you make some of these decisions, you're going to do them the right way and you're going to have a full buy-in from your whole team.
Yeah, I agree.
So what's your strategy next? You want to do the add on the building? Talk a little bit about your sequence of what you'd like to see happen over the next couple of years.
Leaving things as they are for 2026, other than some scheduling things, some more staff training on different they're doing great, but just some things to help them out a little bit. That's it for 26. Just maintain where we're at or do a little bit better.
Do you want to add any procedures again? Like you said, you weren't going to add anything, but you want to get into clear tray aligners for ortho or
So I already do that a little
cosmetic
bit,
stuff?
but I do that a little bit, but I do it very limited.
Yeah, you should be very limited if you're not doing a lot.
So
Really
I already
cherry
do a
pick
little
the
bit of
cases.
that.
Yeah.
Definitely not adding anything new. My goal for 2026 is just to implement a few scheduling changes, this is the way we need to change things type things just with patient interactions. But 26 for me is just hit the number that I ended 25 with and hopefully beat it. 27, however, is we're making the building bigger.
And do you foresee any issues with the town variances, building size, lot size, parking requirements?
No, I don't think so. I've got a huge parking lot. I might get a little bit of pushback because I'm in a prime location.
Are you in commercial zone?
Yes.
Okay. That helps.
Yeah. So I don't think it'll be a big deal for me to push out the back of the building. If I push out the side of the building where there's road view, I'm sure I'm going to have to present designs and get approvals and all that crap.
Now, what town are you practicing in? Auburn?
Geneva.
Geneva. Okay, Geneva, Auburn, they're right next to each other. Okay. All right, so kind of your trajectory is set. How often do you guys, as a team, how often do you get together non-clinically to review systems, protocols, goals, all those things, responsibilities, roles? How often do you do it, and how structured is it?
So unofficially unstructured multiple times a day.
Multiple times a day.
Multiple times a day, we're talking about things that are happening in the office. So my thing is, if something comes up, say something. We don't need to wait till a meeting. We don't need to make a big spectacle out of it. Just come grab me. Let's figure out what's going on. How do we stop it from happening again? What can we do better? And if that's not achievable in that 60 to 120 seconds, it goes on the agenda for our weekly meeting.
Now, let's talk about that weekly meeting. What
Yeah.
does it look like?
So the weekly meeting just is a recap of what we've done, what we've done up to that point. Maybe a little bit of a chat on the week earlier. We've been implementing something. So when you ask me what I want to implement, we implement stuff regularly, but it's little subtle. You wouldn't notice it unless you were a part of it type things. So we recap on those weekly. So we've already started changing the schedule to be more production based for the morning. So every now and then I'll see something that's not supposed to be in a block, and we'll chat about that. Another couple of things that have come up with the schedule is if we're only doing crowns, removable implants in the morning, what do you want us to do if you have several blocks and then you're booked out 2 months with other things, right? Which was a great question. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. So that's something that I'm working on now for tomorrow. Do I say, all right, screw it, start plugging people in wherever we can, or do I stick to my guns on doing this and then I'm sitting around bored and losing money? I don't know the answer to it. Something I'm working on now.
You have morning meetings like huddles?
We do not. I know everyone swears by them and they're good. I don't believe in the morning huddle.
Gotcha. Not everybody does. Dr. Jeffrey,
I'm
who's
more of a
big-
weekly, let's recap, let's see what's going forward. But every morning we're together, we're at the front desk, we're chatting, we're having a coffee, we're shooting the breeze, and things come up. We talk about the day, we talk about something that's going on. We have this little unofficial morning huddle that just organically happens all the time. I don't want to all of a sudden make it this thing, oh, for 5 minutes or whatever it may be, we're having a huddle. I don't know. I just don't love it. For me,
Well,
it's more of a weekly, we hash things out type thing. But I'm able
you
to
have
get
an
away with
informal one.
I'm able to get away with not having the morning huddle because we are literally talking about things multiple times a day.
Yeah, but you're having like an informal one in the beginning of the day.
Yeah,
And then throughout the course of the day, you have little mini meetings. Yeah, I
for
get
sure.
it.
Yeah.
It's going to happen less and less as you get busier with your productive schedule. So you're thinking the boulders, rocks, pebbles, sand, water, that scheduling format or not?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a game changer, but your time is going to be tighter, right?
Yeah,
But it's going to be more efficient is what you do.
for sure. And a tight schedule is not something any of us are afraid of. Everyone that's in that office right now likes to be busy. We're all the type of people that if a patient cancels, it's okay. Now there's always stuff to do, but it's you get a little bit of busy work, you get a little bit of boredom.
Mhm.
So we're all very happy being busy. And I've had this conversation with my staff multiple times, right? I don't take this the wrong way, but in some ways, my assistant is my limiting factor, right? I can only see as many patients as she can have rooms ready, do sterilization. So I've told her straight up, I don't want you to feel like I'm overworking you. If 11 patients a day is one too many, don't be afraid to tell me. And we can scale back a little bit and see how we can make sure we have enough time to see all of these people. Because none of us in the office want to hire somebody that's dedicated to doing all of the things that nobody else wants to do. That's not fair to that person. And I just don't think it would be a great thing within the office. So we are as
The
we
person I
can.
spoke to, what they do is they share that responsibility. So
What's
let's say
that?
you need to work, hygiene works with an assistant. You rotate the job. You
Mhm.
don't have one dedicated hygiene assistant. You have your job. You got it today. You got it tomorrow. You rotate that a little bit. It was a good thought. I kind of like the way it was implemented. Made
Yeah.
sense. Okay, so plans are move them on, move them up, move them out, baby. What about the addition of another doctor? Where does that fit in your head and your timeline?
Like to work with me at my office.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a timeline for it right now. I
Perfect
mostly
world,
because
perfect world, perfect scenario. When do you see it happening? 2027?
no.
No?
So it would definitely be after the addition to the practice. And even then, I feel like I'm going to be searching for the white buffalo that doesn't exist. I don't know, maybe 28, 29, bring somebody in.
Right, but you're going to want to ramp up a little bit, right? Unless you're talking about pulling yourself out of the practice. You do that, then the doc that comes in doesn't really have the mentoring and the coaching as often because your attention is going elsewhere. And this is what we talked to David Yang about. Like that's a real bandwidth. How much bandwidth do you have? And if you're
So
looking at buying
I
another
wouldn't,
practice or adding another one,
yeah, I wouldn't ramp up a whole lot. I think if I'm bringing in an associate, I'm bringing in the right associate that wants to buy in, and eventually that becomes their practice. And I
right, they
think
want to buy in, but they're coming into a one doc practice.
they
So,
would be the only doc.
oh, you're talking about, so it's almost like a practice transition then.
Yeah, not necessarily a full transition, but when somebody comes on, they come on with the understanding that this is going to be their baby, their home. They're going to have some skin in the game, and they will take over that office as the doctor. And then at that point, I'll move on to my next practice, hopefully, and spend a year or two doing the same thing, bring in the person for that one, and move on to the next practice. And then hopefully by the time I'm 50, I've done that 5 times.
But remember, you're not going to completely divorce from that. You have to be still there, mentoring and coaching and overseeing and watching and you know,
Sure.
and that gets a little tedious when you become because in dentistry, right? When you're the dentist, you're the motor, right? You're the engine, you're the repairman, right? And you're also the driver.
Yeah.
So you start to move some of those things over, but you're still ultimately responsible for the care of the vehicle, right?
Absolutely. And for as confident as I am with certain things and as much as I know my path with other things, I'm the first to admit that when it comes to to jumping to that next practice, I have zero idea. I don't know what the proper transition is.
You don't have zero ideas. You have good ideas. You
I
have
have good ideas, but I have no real granted, I haven't had any real experience with anything that I've done to this point in dentistry.
but
But
look at what you've done so far and look at how you've done it. You thought about it, you identified it, you were true to who you are. Everything you've done has been true to who you are, to your honest
sure,
self, right?
sure.
It's been right within who you are. The rest becomes easy. The rest becomes just little blips. It's when you get outside of who you are and you think, oh, I'm going to do this, and that's not really who you are.
Yeah.
It's a different story.
Yeah.
You'll
It's
do
a
the
pretty
same
good
thing here.
experience.
I have no question.
What's that?
I have no question. You'll do the same thing here, man. I hope I'm still kicking and watching it.
Oh, you will be. I'm going to be leaning on you when this time comes.
Well, I don't know. Hopefully, I don't make you go left when you should go. Let's just put it that way. All right. Anyway, let's wrap this up. We've already talked about how to get in touch with you, but the second that I just want you to share again, people coming behind you. What do you want to tell them? What's your message to them, and what advice can you give them?
From a dentist coming behind me, right?
Yeah, a young professional, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
A new professional. We've
Sure.
proven it doesn't have to be young, but new professional.
So, first and foremost, do what you want to do. If don't listen to anybody that says you have to be an associate for X amount of time. You don't have to go work for corporate for 6 months to a year to get that little extra paycheck.
Can you say that line one more time? Because that's what I talk to dental students about. Say that one more time. They don't have to what?
Go work for corporate for 6 months to a year to think they're going to get a little extra paycheck.
Or because they think it's their only option. Anyway, keep going.
Because they think it's their only option. And then to hammer that point home, don't I don't want to berate corporate dentistry here because I don't know enough about it, but I know the work ethic and I know the people standard, and I don't like it because for a new grad to come out and go into that environment, they're going to get burnout. Not everyone gets burnout, but burnout exists. They're going to get burnout and they're going to get a very jaded, unrealistic idea of what it means to run a practice and how it means to treat people. So don't love that idea. I look at corporate dentistry as more of I kind of want to work Fridays, but I don't want to do my own thing. So screw it. I'll go make a couple grand at corporate dentistry for the day. Great. That's a great idea. But to go full time on that as a new grad to me doesn't make sense. And then if you want,
Let me couple one thing on that.
yeah,
When the decisions of a person's care are out of the caregiver's domain, we have a problem.
We have a problem.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And then do a residency. That's number one. All of these new grads that think they're going to go straight into practice, that's the worst possible decision you can make. And that's coming from somebody that knows people that have done it. I don't know where everyone goes to dental school. Buffalo's a great school, but I wasn't ready to be a dentist when I graduated. Nobody was ready to be a dentist when they graduated. Pick a good residency that's going to give you the private practice feel. A GPR is great, but all of that trauma, all of that sort of Medicaid work, which is noble, you're not going to see that all the time once you get into practice. So it was cool you stitch up somebody's face, but I would have rather gotten that experience in a private practice type residency that I did, just doing bread and butter dentistry. Because at the end of the day, when I cashed my paycheck, that was mostly bread and butter dentistry. I might have stitched up one face in the past 12 months. So that would be the big thing. Do a residency and pick a good residency. And if you want to be a practice owner, be a practice owner. It's a scary thing, but there's so many resources out there to help you get along. So those would be my big takeaways. Don't listen to negative people telling you what you have to do with the first 2 or 3 or 4 years of your career. Take dental school advice with a grain of salt and maybe look into the people that are giving that advice. I'm not saying they're bad people. If they got hired on as faculty right off the bat, maybe don't take the practical or the practice advice, take the dental advice. And most importantly, do what it is that you want to do in dentistry.
Love it. You're not compromising.
I hope I don't look back on this podcast in 5 years and think I gave some terrible advice.
No, you find out. This will be a permanent record of it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you again, AJ. Appreciate your time and your absolute brutal honesty. And let me tell you, there's no gray area for you, man. You're black and white. I kind of like that. I can really dig that. And you think before you speak, for sure. It's not just coming off the top of your head, and it's purposeful. So it literally, it's entirely your persona. You're authentic inside and out. So appreciate you. Thank you very much. People want to reach out to you, they can reach you.
My cell phone number is 607-368-3748. Don't call me. Shoot me a text with who you are and I'll call you.
Don't call us, we'll call you. All right. That's pretty brave you putting your cell out there. You're crazy as I am.
Oh, that's all right.
Nope.
My email is ajfelli@westlake-dental.com. Either of those two ways are a good way to reach me. I don't have a ton of experience in what I'm doing, but I can maybe help steer you away from some bumps that I shouldn't have hit.
And if you're driving through gorgeous upstate New York and you happen to be near Geneva, Westlake
Dental. Yes, sir.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You as well. Appreciate you having me.
Anytime you need me for anything, happy to help.
I appreciate that.
Anytime.
Have a good
All right. Have a good one.
This has been a production of Dentistry in General Radio Network. Visit our website, dentistryingeneral.com, to join engaging clinical and business conversations, explore our dental podcasts, and stay updated on our upcoming live events.